Children as young as 11 are involved in sexual violence against other youngsters. That is the shocking verdict of the Children's Commissioner. In a report into child exploitation and gangs published today, researchers say rape is seen as normal and inevitable. Mark Easton's report contains some disturbing details from the beginning.
Voices rarely heard, disturbing voices. Young girls, witnesses to appalling sexual violence in Britain's street gangs, committed against children, often by children.
It could be 8 guys and 1 girl, treating the girl like a piece of meat.
He raped her, but then like a couple of his friends done it too, so I don't know. It's not right, but what can you do?
Today I spoke to a girl, now getting help from the charity Foundation for Life, who was repeatedly raped by a gang of young boys in London.
Out of everyone there, I was the youngest. I was 11, and like they was all 13 and 14. They just kind of undressed me themselves and wasn't really caring about what I said to them, or wasn't caring how they made me feel, because you could see in my face I was upset and I was crying, and I told them to stop and they wasn't really bothered. They thought it was like they was laughing at the time.
They were laughing?
Yeah, they didn't see that it was serious.
Today's report spoke to 188 young people in gang neighbourhoods. 41% were aware of incidents of rape. 34% had heard about gang rapes. 39% said young girls exchanged sex for drugs or drink.
One of the most scary things about the research findings is that young people just feel it's an inevitability. It's part of what happens in their lives. They have no option but just to live through it, because that's what happens.
Panel members expressed themselves aghast at the chilling evidence presented to them and wrote of a deep malaise in society. Children, they said, were being badly let down by the agencies which should be there to protect them. This reformed gang head confirms he's had sex with a very large number of young women, sometimes deliberately to disrespect a member of a rival gang.
I could sleep with one girl one night, and then she'll be around another 2 or 3 or 4 people the same night.
And they're just used as sex objects?
Yeah, they know that. They know that's what they're there for. That's their purpose.
The report wants the authorities to do much more to deal with child sexual exploitation. But above all, it calls for one thing, that we see and we hear the child victims. Mark Easton, BBC News.
Well, with me now, Sheldon Thomas and Mario Navacroft from Gangsline, an organisation which provides help and support to young people involved in gang culture, both former gang members themselves. Thanks for coming in. Mario, just shocking, the reports of rape there. Does that tie in with your experience when you were part of a gang?
You see, the thing is, this is a recent problem. Back in my times, it wasn't acceptable to embrace that kind of behaviour towards females. So, example, if we had someone who just told us that, you know, he just sexually abused someone, then we wouldn't embrace that. You see what I'm saying? This is recent times, and I think there's a lot to do because of the change of mindset of young people. So we're talking females and male, both. You know, they're also using this as a form of like, so for example, now if I have a problem with someone, if I can't get to that person, I'm just saying what this is what's going on the streets. If I see the sister or cousin and I can't get in touch with that person, I use the sister to get back to that person, meaning that if I get the opportunity to sexually abuse her, doesn't necessarily mean me having some form of intercourse, but if I can, you know, grab her or some...
threaten her or
yeah, just make her feel like less of a, you know, less of a person.
Sheldon, I mean, do the girls involved here, I mean, some of them incredibly young, do they see it as rape?
Many of the girls don't actually see it as rape, and again it comes down to where they're coming from, the environment they're coming from. Some of them are coming from, most of them are coming from fatherless households, seeing that their mums have been abused physically as well by other men. They've also seen videos where the videos border on pornography. I mean, some of the rap videos and grime videos that are coming out from America and coming out from this country, where they're promoting rap and grime music, it's actually promoting pornography. And what's happening is young girls can't have the same interpretation. They don't have that interpretation of when they watch the videos, they can't interpret that that's not real life. So they take on that lifestyle.
So the girls themselves don't have any respect or self-respect, but for the guys in these gangs, I mean, there's this thing called man points, isn't there? You know, if the number of girls you've slept with, maybe at a young age. So is it really just the guys are demanding respect from the girls, and it's almost falling into a very sexist, polarised society?
I think it's a little bit of both. It's a bit of power. It's a bit of I can do it. It's a bit of the girls actually want to get involved, because remember, the girls don't see it as rape. The guys don't see it as rape. We had an incident about 2 years back where 7 guys raped an 11-year-old, and in the statement, a 12-year-old who was part of that gang that raped the girl, he actually said, well, it's not rape. He didn't even view it as rape, and that was an 11-year-old girl. We've had other incidents where a girl was drugged in a nightclub, kidnapped, taken home by about 15 guys. They raped her, and then they filmed her and put it on Facebook. These are the things that we're living in, and this report that's come out, it's nothing new to us, to frontline third sector organisations.
So how do you change that culture?
I think I think it's all about changing the mindset. I think a lot of people seems to put the whole, if I put them in, I'm talking about general, females and males, if I get them a job, if I get them training, if I get them any, something to keep them active, that might...
It's more about respect, isn't it? And self-respect.
But that's what I'm saying, it's all about the mindset. Right now, the mindset is normal. As you said, it's normal. There's nothing wrong with it. Before it was about, if I sleep with 10 girls, then I get the reputation I'm this kind of, big top guy. But now, it's not even about that no more. It's the whole concept of sleeping with a female is changed. It's completely changed.
We have to re-educate the whole system. We have to start from 7 years old in primary schools. And I think this is where the problem lies. A lot of education authorities don't really want to address the issues that is actually on their doorstep. So we have to address that one part. The other part we have to look at the moral fibre of this country. The moral fibre of this country has gone downhill and been shot. And so what people have to understand, if we want to address what we're in, where we have sexual exploitation to this degree, we have to address the moral fibre, we have to address the value system of this country, we have to address the music that they listen to as well.
But on the family background there, for example, I mean, it can't just be because these families, a lot of these kids don't have fathers at home, because in the past, over the 60s and 70s, that applied to lots of communities.
But
very strong mothers, very strong...
But education also plays a part, because when you have no fathers and you take away, you put them in environments where there's other kids just like them, and they have no education, because remember, the expectation levels of these young people is very low. They don't expect to be anything when they leave school. So what we're talking about, whereas when we talked in the 60s, they had the family, what we called the village around them. They had the cousins, they had the community. They don't have that anymore. So what we have is children raising children. The children that are raising children have no values and morals. And so what we have is that we've got to address the actual moral fibre of this whole country.
And how big a part does drugs play in this, Mario?
Drugs?
Yeah.
Massive part.
And with young kids as well?
Yeah, of course. I'm talking about old and young as well. I mean, females nowadays get used to, hold the drugs for majority of people. And they see it as a form of acceptance, which is wrong. This is what I'm saying, the mindset is completely changed. So, of course, drugs is a massive thing, especially males towards females. And there's also the female side of things that, doesn't really talk, we don't really talk about, but there is a massive issue as well with females.
But there's also this desire, isn't there? If you're brought up on a rough estate, and you've got to be part of a gang, you've got to be accepted in a gang. How do you break that?
Well, in order to break that, it will take the community, and this is what I think needs to happen. Local authorities and central government has to put the community first on its priority list. What happens is local authorities set priorities based on their own personal agenda. It's not actually based on the agenda of the community. So what happens is the community becomes second, and so what happens is when you're coming to address the problems, which is the needs of the community, their needs are never met. So we can't address it until when everybody around the table realises that actually to address this problem will take the people from the community to first acknowledge
and just
it.
in a word, I mean, are you confident that will be done or not?
I'm confident that as an organisation, what we're trying to do is that we want to play a role in this, and we want to go around and explain how we feel that this could happen. But in order for this to happen, the government would have to admit there's a major issue. Local authorities would have to admit that there is this. And I'll tell you this, primary and secondary schools would have to start addressing this problem, because you cannot fix this problem after when a child becomes 14. You have to start when this child is about 7 and 8.
Right. Very depressing, isn't it? Sheldon, Mario, thank you very much indeed.